Hello, everyone, and welcome to TFYLP, episode number 324, recorded March the 23rd, 2019. I am your host, Ron Land, aka Weird Wolf. Along with me this evening is Lucas Bockelman.
Hey.
Jim Black.
How's it going, everyone?
Headmaster Dawn.
Hey, everybody.
And not Sean McGinnis.
No, I am Sean McGinnis. Got a haircut.
Got a haircut. Rather grew hair.
So what? This is third party Sean McGinnis? I'm a little confused here.
Yeah, I'm a knockoff. It's but I'm shooting.
Oh no, you're the Y Zhang version. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, but
it's like better.
I'm undersized, not oversized.
The high quality undersized knockoff of Sean McGinnis.
I'm a Voyager KO McGinnis. They call me McDennis. Yeah, McDennis. Yeah. No, Sean will be along shortly. So.
Yes. While you're rating.
Yeah. I'm just hanging out. Hanging out.
Well, for those of you who don't know, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Jason. Bryn.
Bryn.
I do. Yeah.
And your band is called the Argonauts.
Dude, Greek mythology reference. I didn't think anybody would get that one, but that was good. Nice work.
But you do nice work on other things.
Yeah, I do some stuff on some things. Online, I use name Get Right Robot. Yeah, that's one of them. Thank you for getting that, because that was the idea.
I still want one of those.
All right. Strong supporter, my man.
I still want one of those, but I knew this was in the pipeline, so
Duran, I don't know if you know this or not, but I think that they still have a handful left at the Chosen Prime up for pre-order. I'm not sure if they're still up there or not yet.
Well, like I said, I this was in the pipeline, and this was my purchase, my big purchase for the week. Now, if there's some left, maybe next week, maybe. And, if the gods are willing.
Yeah. But I mean, I can understand, because the cross dimension aesthetic is a very specific look. To me, it's a very anime kind of look for these characters. It's something I could see Studio Trigger animating or something along those lines, and it be a show in Japan with this aesthetic. And it's, from what I've heard about that Zeta Toys Superion, I've heard it's absolutely phenomenal as a combiner. It's just, I really love this cross dimension line, and I'd rather get it versus another Superion. But again, I can totally see why somebody wouldn't prioritize that Silverbolt, because it does look so good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a little spoiler for my wallet this week, but
I just found it so weird they included this shell, the Superion kind of shell torso with them. It's just really hasn't been done before like that.
The thing is, though, is that I'm one of those that you've got to have a cheat is okay. In order to pull off the combined mode and make it look the way it's supposed to, in my opinion, the cheat I'm willing to accept. I know it's not for everybody. Some people want the all the combiner bits to be, included within the bot itself. Come from within, as it were. But the more we've seen that so much, and some figures have actually suffered from that.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're fully enjoyable in all three modes. Of their individual modes, and then you add these extra parts, and they become something super special, and that's what I see.
There's a. I'm sorry, but there's that's not a new thing. I mean, that's
no.
If you look at G1 Devastator, Monstructor. If you got
No, I mean as far as
Dino King,
not add-on parts to make the robot, just to get that cartoon accuracy of the entire torso.
yeah.
I mean, that's something that we haven't seen before, at least to that degree.
Oh, yeah. And the individual bot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but I mean,
okay.
Zeta, that's why I'm really glad about Raiden coming out, is because they have shown what they can do at this $70 limb price point. And they're all basically boxes on boxes. So, I mean, so I'm really looking forward to that. I like the way that I watched Bobby Skullface's review on that Superion. I think it looks great, but it's Superion. I have enough Superion in my life.
Man is full.
I don't have enough.
Superion.
I don't have enough Raiden and Lionel Kaiser.
I want to see a
Ironically,
Landcross.
Yeah, there you go.
I think
Yeah,
Landcross would be good.
ironically
Or
though. Oh, go ahead.
What's
Jim.
that?
Go ahead, Jim.
I would say either Landcross or and this is something completely off the wall. Nobody's really tackled in too far in depth the action masters and their partners.
Thank
and I'm
you.
wondering, instead of like what they were back in 1990 with just an action figure with a partner, if somehow the action master had an alt mode, could transform, and the partner could become add-on bits or something similar to like Cog or Six Gun. I think it'd be neat to see like Rad with Lionizer, and Lionizer would be like an armor for Rad.
I think if we get anything like that, Jim, I think someone like Flame Toys, if they can pull back from these big, huge... I mean, the Flame Toys stuff looks awesome.
Sure.
But it's really not... I mean, you're getting into Hot Toys money there.
Wow, that was a haircut.
Yeah. And there's only been one Hot Toys I ever really wanted, and that was Mark V Iron Man. But I just couldn't come off the money for that. But if they can scale down their focus and give us a high quality action master with partner that doesn't have to because we've seen, because I know Duran, we brought this up too about, do you need your toys to transform to be considered a transformer?
I personally prefer it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we've seen what Flame Toys has done with that drift. That if you want the best representation of the robot character, then that's going to be your best representation. If you don't care about the alt mode, with Action Masters, since there is no alt mode other than what is showing up as far as in the body of the figure, then if they can scale down their focus and scale down their price and deliver the quality they have shown to do, they could be the company that gives you your Action Masters.
Sure.
To me, I think that someone is really missing the boat to where there needs to be transforming GI Joes that interact with, like, so you do like little 3 3/4 GI Joes or maybe even smaller, and then they interact with a vehicle that also transforms, and so then you kind of have
someone's doing
the
that.
two.
Someone is doing that, because I watched Bobby Skullface's up today, his DX9 past, present, and future, and he mentions there's somebody doing that, but I don't remember the name that he gave.
I think he said his HTB, I guess, was doing that, which they showed off a couple of upgrade parts on the third-party panel, but I don't know. I think that they're a relatively new company. But yeah, so I mean, if they can get it done, I think that would be great. I think that's also something that maybe Hasbro, it seems to be like a missed opportunity, and I think something that they could really use Transformers to kind of bring back G.I. Joe, personally.
Now, here's a question: were the original Action Masters, were they human scaled, or were they intended to just be still?
No, they were a little bit bigger than G.I. Joes, but they were meant to kind of play with Joes.
I mean, in the fiction.
Well, we only really got we didn't get any Action Masters up until really
They were
the Generation 2 book when.
Okay.
Well, no, wait a minute, not even really Generation 2.
You had G1 Marvel, you had Bludgeon fighting Prime, and Bludgeon was as big as Prime.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in a car now.
Yeah, we have a very
he's a Transformer.
Right?
They're in their alt mode right now on the way.
But no, I was thinking if the Action Master characters were similar scale to G.I. Joe's, in the toys and fiction both, one could be a way to incorporate the other.
Well,
you see what I'm saying? Maybe like G.I. Joe's did a Cybertronian tech thing, and I don't know.
Well, that's kind of what they were alluding to in Prime. For what we thought was going to happen for a while. In Prime with Cyrus and Mech and all them, which went a different direction. And in issue 80, End of the Road of the Marvel G1 run, we see Action Master Prime, and he's regular size Prime. So there would be.
Last Stand of the Records, doesn't Sprocket get killed in the arena before? And it's Sprocket, or is it Kickoff that's fighting in Last Stand of the Records? It says alt modes are for wimps. He kills that Autobot. They were like normal sized robots. They just didn't.
I've never read Last Stand of the Records. I need
what? Those two have never read it. Oh man! Oh.
It's just okay.
It's so good.
I'm going to blow your mind. Other than the comics that came with the Generation stuff a few years ago, I haven't read anything Transformers since before All Hail Megatron.
No, that's not a big deal, but you really treat yourself. Last Stand of the Records is the darkest. It's 5 comics. It's super quick, and it's so messed up, man.
Right. It's just I really liked what Furman was doing with the Mechanation and Sunstreaker and Hunter and all them. And then when all that changed, my interest just basically jumped out of a window to its death. Because that's what I wanted to see. And I just didn't want to pay that much money per issue and really not get what I wanted to see.
The little scene I'm talking about is when Overlord takes over Garrus 9, which was basically a prison, and that Fort Max was the warden of, which is kind of where that warden name came from for Perfect Effects. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he makes some of the Autobots that were there fight each other to the death for a chance to win their freedom. And I'm pretty sure it's Kickoff is fighting another Autobot. He says alt modes are for wimps when the Autobot that he's fighting tries to transform into a tank. And it's brutal because if you win, what you win is a chance to fight Overlord for your freedom. But clearly Kickoff not really going to do well in that one-on-one. It's a messed up book, man. But yeah, I was just trying to think of other Action Masters that made appearances that demonstrate scale, and he was the same size as everybody else. I mean, they weren't like Pretenders where they were human-sized people.
Yeah. Well,
robots.
Well, in the comics, the Pretender concept was really not what it was supposed to be in the American comic. It really Master Force is where it kind of was like, this is what we were shooting for, but there's too much space magic involved.
It didn't translate.
Bracelets.
But Master Force is my favorite series of the 4. Well, 3 and then Zone.
Yeah, I love that.
What?
Well, see, I've got Jinrai and Shuta's Master Force bracelets. I got them at BotCon 20 years ago.
That's cool, man. I've seen those floating around. Those are awesome.
Yeah, and I've got the 3 Kuto Kira. I believe I'm mangling the name. The large figures. I got Jinrai, Minerva, and Minerva in the Nightbeat colors.
Is that the CM Core guys?
I'll go get one and show you in case for those folks who don't know.
Gosh, Dawn, put some pants on.
Funny.
Oh, jeez.
Here, kitty, kitty.
Crack our screen.
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
Go up.
Come on,
Get it.
Massey. Come get a
We can get a Massey attack going here.
Here, Massey, 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 Massey.
Massey's on the
Well,
couch.
while Dawn is doing that, tonight we're going to be talking about culling our collection. I've actually started doing some culling of my own in an effort to open up some space and be able to fit some really big guys like this guy whenever he's all combined.
I'm currently accepting any donations.
That's a sneaky one.
Well, yeah, but the donations that I get are monetary, and they go right back into the collection. So, we're going to be talking about the whens and the hows and the whats about that. And like I said, I need to clear up some space. I'm in a really small room here, and as you can see, the bed here next to me, I've got like stuff piled up I'm taking pictures of. Some of the stuff's already on eBay right now, so hopefully it'll move soon, because like I said, I'm going to be finishing Kronos in the next week. I've already got down thrust on order, so as soon as he comes in, I'll have another 2-foot tall bot to fit. Oh yeah, I remember those. You want to describe
What is that from?
It's this.
Those are awesome.
Hey, go stage left with that, Don.
Huh? Do what?
Go stage
Move
left with that. I mean, sorry, stage right. I can only see half of it.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
that's so cool. Those were brilliant, man.
Okay,
And
yeah.
they only did the 2, right? They only
Three.
Did,
Him and
well, they did what? Nightbeat and
Minerva.
Yeah.
Minerva.
It's Minerva in the Nightbeat colors, in addition to her regular. Because
Oh, that looks really cool.
this was an exclusive somewhere, and then the back shows the regular Minerva. Is that?
Manelba. gotta love the English on it.
so whenever you call your collection, Duran, why not get rid of the really big bots and you can have more room for?
Because I want the big bots.
And he cannot lie.
Yes.
Yeah, see, Duran, some of us started collecting legends so that way we can buy more and fit more into our shelving.
Well, there's also the Ouch My Wallet this week, which, everybody knows. About 2 or 3 months ago, I got this little guy here, the New Age Gremlin, the little gold bug. Well, this past week, I got in the Magic Square Transporter.
Yep.
And Magic Square Fever Nova, the Art Fire. And so, yeah, I kind of want to build up some more legends in my collection, and
Magic Square is doing a really good job.
Yeah, well, Magic Square, Unique Toys, and New Age are all doing some really phenomenal.
And DX9, depending on how you look at that with Unique.
Garrett Sheehan says, "Is that Get Right Robot?" What's up, Jason Brand?
Hey, what's up, Garrett? What's happening, brother? I'm actually not Get Right Robot. I am Sean McDennis, the Voyager scaled down knockoff.
By Wajang.
By Wajang, yeah.
He says he loves the TFCon exclusives.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's
Yes.
cool. Thanks for the support.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm crossing my fingers for Ramjet at Reston.
Let me ask you, what would be more interesting? Would you rather have a G2 set like a G2 Ramjet MP, or would you rather have the unreleased G2 prototype Sandstorm?
I'd probably say Ramjet, because that Sandstorm is kind of blah looking. to me.
Why
Ramjet's
not
yeah,
I was gonna say both.
both, yeah.
Well,
But but that's a lot of masterpieces to throw at people.
Yeah, well,
exclusives.
so I think I don't know why they chose to go with the G2 Ramjet pattern that we actually got, because the Sandstorm pattern matches the Starscream pattern more closely. You got the camo, right? And I think there were some talks about doing camo and Arctic and different more camouflage style paint jobs on all the G2 Seekers.
Basically,
they didn't do it.
Basically, like bait Optimus camo on all the Seekers, kind of.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm just saying the Ramjet visually it pops a lot more visually in those colors, making it more of a true G2 to me.
Well, no, I don't think there's any arguing there. That thing is as 90s neon as it gets. That thing is wow.
Antoine Lewis says, "Sup, Jason and Garrett, and both Garrett Shin and Randall Werbing both say Sandstorm."
Sandstorm, huh? Tell Antoine I said what's up. I missed Antoine at the show this year, man. It's been a while since we've had a TFCon with no Antoine Lewis. It's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I vote against it.
Next year's exclusive is Antoine Lewis.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
And then the next year will be G2 Antoine Lewis. He'll have to wear a lot of neon pink and everything.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I think we should.
He
do
has to
that.
wear neon the whole time.
Yeah, we could get him a neon third-party unlimited T-shirt.
Yeah,
it'd be perfect.
Well, what if it's just a straight up reissue but with a goatee?
No, that's Shattered Glass.
We could just make a regular G1 Antoine, but put him in a G2 packaging, so it looks like it's a G2 Antoine.
Well, he said he'll wear neon green. Neon green. So, I guess you guys are at the store, or what do you?
Yeah, we're getting a bite to eat.
A bit to eat, huh?
A bit to eat. We're getting a bit to eat. We need to refuel. We need some energon. And a lot of luck.
Well, in the interest of time, I believe we need to get rolling with our Ouch My Wallets and then move on into the main topic. I want to point out that if you haven't noticed already, if you're watching us live, you can comment on the Facebook Live or the YouTube feed, and it will show up here on the screen. We welcome all interaction with us, and welcome all fans. And as always, if you love what we do here on TFYLP, go up there to the Patreon at patreon.com/TFYLP and help support us each and every month with some added extra bonus content of TFYLP After Hours. There's going to be a new one dropping this coming Wednesday, so look for that. Should drop around 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you are a TFYLP patron, check out TFYLP After Hours, which is just for you, our TFYLP patrons. So who wants to go first with the Ouch My Wallet this week? Jim, you haven't been on in a while. What's made
I
your
want to
wallet
go.
say
I have nothing. Okay, that's all. Jim?
My Ouch My Wallet? Studio Series Ironhide.
Ah, so what do you think of it?
I've been trying to play catch up on some of the lines that have come out the past year, and so I'm only just now getting Ironhide because it was getting harder and harder to find. I'm like, you know what? If I don't pick it up, I'm not going to see it again. I just have one concern though, and I can't seem to get a clear answer anywhere I've looked online. The face sculpt for Ironhide. Mine seems that like it might possibly be somehow some kind of bad molding or something. Like the forehead seems to slope down on the one side, and the right eye is just strange.
That's molding. That's how mine is too. It's
Is it?
I think they try to sculpt expression on his face, but it's movie, so everybody looks like a bag of knives.
Yeah, well,
it's not an error. It's just the way he looks.
I was just chalking it up to maybe this was the Troma Studios version. And he was like part Ironhide, part Toxic Avenger.
I pretend he's one of those those classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with the derpy painted eyes. They came out at Toys R Us a few years back. You'd have to search through like every one of them on the pegs just to find one with the correctly painted eyes.
Right. But overall, this, I mean, out of any of the Ironhides I've owned in the past, this one has to probably be the best one I've seen. I mean, out of accuracy, transformation, and everything, I really dig how everything just kind of fits together. There's not much in the way of really kibble, you know. The one thing that kind of threw me off though a little bit was the fake truck paneling on the cannons. I wasn't sure if you know why that was really necessary.
Well,
it's kind of growing on me.
Arms, so it's supposed to look like the cannons are popping out of his arms. That's the only reason why there's fake panels.
Well, sure, but like the one on the right hand cannon has 2 truck doors on it, and the truck doors are his shoulders. So
yeah. Oh, huh.
But I'm just being picky, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look that close. That's just what I assumed.
But so far, I've been able to get the first Starscream from movie 1, Jazz, Ironhide, and the Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee, the bug.
Yep.
Very impressed.
Jim, Rick says that your new microphone is clear and focus videos, and in focus videos getting. I don't know.
What new microphone? This is the same microphone I've been using.
Oh.
I just moved it.
Well, I guess we lost Sean. They were going.
Oh,
He took the wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Do what now?
But as far as my webcam, it's still like a decade plus old. I'm not this blurry in real life.
Well, we do need to get you an HD camera. I'll look into that with the next Patreon.
Like I say, I'm accepting any and all donations. I'm just a poor janitor.
Janitor. So is that
this life from this monstrosity?
Is that all you've got for your Ouch My Wallet this week?
At the moment, I mean, last week I was running through one of the little, not really Goodwill. It's kind of one of those resale shops like for kids over here in Plainfield on the west side of Indy, and ran across Stormcloud.
Oh,
from Universe.
Oh, nice.
The arm at the elbow joint, that little mushroom tab swivel thing had snapped off. I tried repairing it using a metal pin through it. I took my Dremel and drilled a hole and all that, but it wasn't strong enough. So I said, screw it, and I used a screw. Not to make a pun or nothing, but so instead of a mushroom tab, it now has a screw, and it seems to be holding. So yeah, so far so good. It's like $3.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, I know. Just missing the gun and the whistle. Electronics work.
Alrighty. So, Headmaster Don.
Well, thanks to Lucas and his attendance at TFCon, I have Diaclone. The Striker, the Diaclone. What Delta Manus was it?
Delta Manus, yep.
Yeah, Delta Manus.
Well,
yeah,
it's right there on the box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Reading is fundamental, Don.
Yeah, there it is. But yes, Diaclone has never really been like a hot button for me because one, the price, and two, I have no connection to the characters as they are. So from a historical standpoint, it doesn't mean as much to me as it does other folks. But it's this mold. Cross Dimension is one of the most unusual sublines that I collect, and I really like it. And I am so waiting to see a color picture of that Galvatron. I really want to see what that Galvatron looks like. But again, thank you, Lucas, for that. I appreciate it. That wasn't at TFCon, was it? That Galvatron.
No, it wasn't. So it's shown off in the past. The Chosen Prime booth has had like a test shot of it, but they didn't have it this time, and they actually didn't have any of the Make Toys test shots for some reason.
Yes, so and then I was at Target the other day, and I picked up Cogman, the new Studio Series Cogman. I've got the last night version, but I figured, well, he's like 1 or 2 per case, and he is a lot shinier and a lot prettier, and that's a very good figure.
He's just a repaint, isn't he?
Yeah,
I love the
he's
profile on the back of his box.
Yeah, but he does have a very nice paint job, and but I was told by one of my friends on Twitter that his copy of Cogman does have some looseness, so I haven't opened up mine yet. But I like the extra paint job. I may keep him in the box just because he's so pretty in the box, and keep my last night to fiddle with. And the other thing
I was going to say, I'm excited to get that because I never saw a Cogman like at retail myself, so it would be nice to actually get that mold.
Yeah, I got lucky. I've got I got a Ross and a Marshalls near me, and luckily each of them had turned up a couple of Cogmans. I was able to pick up for friends and stuff. Not many, but there was one here and there I was able to pick up after mine. And I picked up Shatter.
Oh, nice.
I've heard she has a lot of QC issues as far as the shoulders and stuff, but I found another figure that I was able to buy and flip for $15 profit. So I have like $5 invested in her out of pocket. So I figured, even if she's got some QC issues, it's a nice looking figure. It's another female robot, which we need more of.
I was a little thrown off by the visor being down, though.
Well, see, I actually have not seen Bumblebee yet. I was going to in the theaters, and it's just between my eye surgery when I had my cataract surgery, because I was still seeing a little wonky when Bumblebee came out, and I really didn't want to go until I could enjoy the movie fully.
Well, it's on digital now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
I think Tuesday it comes out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Tuesday?
But have you met my internet? Have you seen my internet? Digital, it really is not a thing for me.
I assume maybe you had a smartphone.
I do, but I only have 7 gigs a month, and downloading that movie would probably eat up a lot unless I'm on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And but so yeah, good looking figure. I didn't realize the visor was down because I hadn't seen the movie really. But I'm interested in putting her with Dropkick. I just need some time to open it up. And
hey, Don, real quick, but before you go too far, can you read off Cogman's profile on the back of the package right quick? I think a lot of people may have missed that, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh yeah. While speeding through the streets of London, Cogman remembers to tell Sir Edmund Burton that Agnes called for a snuggle.
Yeah. That's his profile.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he didn't have a whole lot in the movie going on anyway, so you pick what you can, I guess. And if I didn't mention it last week, I can't remember if I did or not. I picked up Cybertron, War for Cybertron Starscream.
Ooh. Nice.
And I did see at Target today they got in the Bumblebee movie Optimus and Wreckage. The yellow construction. No.
Yeah, the Optimus.
What was the red one?
No, the yellow one.
Oh.
Whatever the yellow Constructicon is.
Yeah. Scrap metal?
Maybe, I don't know. I saw him. Don't care. Not getting Devastator, but I did see him.
Yeah.
And they'll probably gone.
Lucas, didn't you guys cover Shatter on Microcasters this past Monday or Tuesday? Or
yeah, Sean did. Yeah, Sean did.
Yeah, because I picked her up.
Yeah, hey Sean, you hear us? Oh,
no audio.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What?
What was
shatters in your hand. It's no fun.
Shatterhand. Love that game.
Yeah, because Don got her in his Ouch My Wallet, and
you should return her because that's what I did. I really like the alt mode, and dude, the alt mode is awesome. But if it just falls apart in your hands, it's not even worth it. So I just took it back and returned it.
Well,
that one.
I heard there were issues, but while I was out, I found another figure at another store that I sold locally for $15 profit. So I've got like $5 invested in her. So I figured for $5, I'll take a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my!
Gundam?
Get yourself a Starscream.
I sure hope my wife isn't watching. I know she is.
So are you're at Barnes and Noble?
I am.
Brains and Noble. What was
That
that?
looks more well stocked than the ones in Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, my closest Barnes and Noble is about 85 miles away. That's the first brown Wolverine I have seen in over a year and a half.
And it's less than our retail, 5 cents less.
That is the first Wolverine. The only Wolverine I've seen is the one I bought for Brian Kilby almost a year and a half ago, because that's the last one he needed for his collection.
I sold all my Legends. Speaking of the topic, I sold all my Legends all at once.
I can't believe you did that.
Deadpool one more time.
Oh, jeez.
But
you're starting the cycle again there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, Deadpool is my favorite character.
Yeah, well, the cycle's right beside of it.
No, that's Black Widow.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Hey, what's up, Lance? How's it going? Lance Park in the chat.
Cyclops is just hanging out back here. No, I'm playing. Not really.
Oh, if you found a Cyclops, you would. Oh, jeez.
You know, if you found a Transformer and bought it, you would actually be doing a live "Ouch My Wallet," making your wallet say "Ouch" live.
Okay, don't tell the wife.
But
I mean, does the Farai model kit Starscream, does that count as a Transformer?
Well, is it Starscream? Yes.
Well, that goes back to
it doesn't transform.
It's actually
that's what it goes back to saying.
Yeah.
You know, when I was talking about the Flame Toy stuff, does it have to transform to be a Transformer? It's a lot greater now than it used to be.
It's got 40 movable joints.
It's an Action Master, right?
Have you built yours yet, Lucas?
No. Still sitting in the box.
You gonna let me paint it for you?
I did, yeah. I guess now I'm gonna have to mail it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I messed around with a couple of them at TFCon, and they're a lot more solid than what I was expecting.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think with something that you build like that, it would just fall apart and crumble, but I've heard they're excellent. I've been tempted, so.
Yeah, I wish I had the painting skills that you did, because I think that they would all look fantastic painted up.
I wish I had the painting skills that old Jason has.
Yeah, there you go. Between the two of you, right? I just need to send all my stuff to you guys, and it'll be good to go.
Yep. We'll tag team it. Yeah. Did everybody do their Ouch My Wallet, or did I?
I haven't done mine. So, well, I haven't actually got anything new since TFCon, but I spent a lot of money there. But I did want to show off this beautiful guy right here. So this is this is my. I don't want to say, but this guy right here was a grail of mine, and it's been for a long time because I have not been able to find one in the condition that I want for the price that I want. But I finally managed to find it at TFCon this year, so I was pretty excited about that.
And the audio listeners are sitting here wondering what in the hell you're talking about.
Awesome piece! Congratulations, that's super cool.
It is the glorious, beautiful, hard to find. But I got mine because I was working there at the time. KB Toys Orange Devastator.
Yep. I got him. He's all stickered up and everything, so I'm super excited about that. And then I also got these little European. This has just got, man, it's such a beautiful figure. I can't remember what the name on this one is.
I think it's Sizzle.
Sizzle. Yeah. But these, you know, once again, I could never find them at the price I wanted.
Flame Fed.
But,
or is it,
yeah.
Is it Spark Stalker or Flame Fed? Yeah.
Well,
that's Spark Stalker. Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
You
That's
never know.
flame
man.
feather.
But yeah, so I was super excited to find all those, and so I finally got them all out of the packaging and what, or whatever, they were in Ziploc bags when I purchased them. So that was my big thing. So I was pretty excited. It made it worth the trip to TFCon to be able to find some grails.
Awesome.
So that's all I got.
Yeah, I'll complete my Ouch My Wallet. Of course, I got the Silver Arrow today, and then, these actually made my wallet say "ouch" a week or two ago, but actually, I got this one from Chosen Prime, so, and then the Fever Nova I got from Agabus, so I'm kind of spreading the love around here, and then I picked up the Siege 6-gun and Prowl.
I have yet to see any of those
Ironhide.
anywhere.
I went to Walmart almost 100 miles away to get these.
Oh, jeez.
But it's not like I drove specifically that far just to get these figures. I go down and see my mom and spend the night with my mom every couple weeks, and after she goes to bed like really, really, really early. I mean, she's elderly, and so she turns in like, I mean, she's probably been in bed an hour already. So that night that I went down there, after she went to bed, I got with Insane Galvatron, and we had dinner, and we hadn't had a chance to hang out in a while. So he was going to go see Captain Marvel, and I needed to return back to the house with Mom. So for that last hour, we went to another Walmart in the next town over, and they had some really well-stocked deluxes. They had at least a couple cases of the deluxes. They had about a case and a half of the Starscream and Soundwave case, and they had pegs for all the mini-cons and everything, but nothing, Yeah. So,
the Wave 2 of the Battle Masters has been found at retail, but other than the Studio Series stuff I saw yesterday, I saw the one Starscream at my local Walmart and the one Soundwave that I did not get.
Hey guys, I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna eat some dinner and I'll pop back on and see where you're at.
all right, man. See you guys later.
All right, have a good one.
What wave is Refractor going to be in? Is that Wave 3?
Yeah.
Refractor and Brunt?
Yeah, both of them are Wave 3, yep.
So probably, May, you think?
No, I think it's going to be July, actually. Yeah, it seems like they're all like, because this one was not supposed to hit until April 1st, and then it's going to be July 1st, and then October 1st. Now, it may show up a little before that, depending on the supply chain, but yeah.
So I got a little bit of time to catch up then.
Yeah,
just a little.
My only Siege figure I have, besides my little Lionizer, because it's a childhood favorite, is Cog. Got to go with my Fort Max, and I'm thoroughly impressed with it. But now I want to get 6 guns, so I can just put the two of them together and make like a super big person.
See, that's the weird thing is
call it.
I've got Cog and haven't opened them yet because I'm just so far behind, which is part of the reason we're talking about our topic tonight. And I have no desire to just weaponize all my figures and make everyone's doing all this, tear them apart, give them to everybody. It's like
I got this guy specifically to put with Metroplex, another big boy. It's on its way. Well, I haven't paid for it yet, but as soon as I can, I need somewhere to put it.
I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera. So I don't know how well this will show up, but I saw this earlier today on one of the forums that somebody took and put together and made like a huge Ultra Magnus combiner using the like Cog and 6-gun parts and Power of the Prime combiners parts and all that kind of thing. So I think it was on Reddit, maybe is where it originally started. And then it was on Facebook. But yeah,
that's so brave. That's so brave.
See, that's what I think is just this new Siege line. I really love those Weapon Master figures. I mean, just some of the creativity that people have done, with the figures has been just fantastic. So I don't know. I've really enjoyed the line myself.
Yeah, it's a great line. I mean, there's some hits and misses, but for the most part, I think it's the quality on this line is way better than we've gotten in the last several lines. It's not like hollowness is completely gone, but it's greatly diminished. They feel sturdier. They feel, even though they're
heavier.
They tend to be smaller figures, but they feel heavier. Like Jim said,
Voyager Ultra Magnus weighs more than the Combiner Wars Leader class Ultra Magnus.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you weigh it?
No, there was a review I saw. I don't remember exactly who it was, but they had the two figures together, and there's actually a bit more. I don't know how much. I think it's just a slight amount, but the Voyager is heavier than the old Leader class.
Now, next question is, will it blend?
Possibly.
Do you remember those old YouTube shows?
Oh, yeah.
Will it blend? They literally stuck a movie 07 Bumblebee in a blender. It's like Transformers Bumblebee. Will it blend? And he puts it in there, turns him into dust, and he's like, yes, he will blend. Oh, it was great. That was great.
Yeah, it was.
So I believe that'll do it for Ouch My Wallet this week. We'll move on into our main topic of discussion tonight, which is the culling. Like I said, I'm going through that right now with my collection, and I found that it is really hard to select what I want to sell and what I'm willing to sell, because simply, I've gone through several sales before, and with each one I try to refine my collection down to a more specific focus on what I'm doing. It's like I'm mainly Masterpiece, but then I'm collecting the mainline generation style stuff, and then other things that like suit my fancy, like these legend scale figures. But as time goes on, whenever they were coming out, the Combiner War stuff was like really great. I loved it. But as time wore on, I'm like, most of this stuff I really don't care about. Some of the characters I love and I'm going to keep, but then there's others that I'm like, I don't need this version of this character. And so it's really hard sitting down and trying to decide what I'm going to sell. But then whenever it comes down to what I'm going to sell, how much is it going for? And that's a good reason why I put up a couple of my third-party items, like the Tesla and the Spotter. They're fetching some good money right now. And, those characters I find are not integral to my collection. So if I can sell them and get what they're going for right now on the secondary market, and turn around and put that money back into other things that I think I would enjoy more, like a Giant Superion or, things of those nature, or these guys. See, that's another reason why I'm really liking the focus on these is, I like the city bots a lot. And I like to be able to make like a scene or something other with the city bots, and these guys scale really well. I mean, imagine this Ultra Magnus standing next to the standing next to Metroplex or Fort Max. I mean, he'd barely come up to the top of its foot. And that's the way I would like it. And you got little Goldbug here, can fit actually inside of one of them. So, there's all kinds of reasons for wanting to do it. Some people would, we've talked about it here on the show before, selling your collection to get out, or, when should I get out? This isn't one of those times, and for me, at least. And that's what I'm trying to highlight right now is that it's not like a getting out sale. I'm not selling to quit the fandom or anything like that. When space is at a premium, you do have the option to like Peter and Paul would say, bin life forever. If I can't display it and enjoy it, I don't want it, and that's just me. I've lived a bin life, so I understand it. I'm not knocking it. It's just I got to that point where if I can't look at it and enjoy it without having to take it out of a bin or something other, or go to a secondary location, I don't want it, and so thus I'm selling. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this, Lucas?
Well, I think for me, my collection is ever changing, ever evolving. So I'm constantly culling my collection, and I think honestly, for me, I think it's a good thing to do it in small chunks and not necessarily do it in a large one, just because I don't really want to have to get burnt out. I mean, it's a lot of work to photograph the figures, put them up for sale, and try to decide what you're going to put up for sale, all that type of thing. And so I think that if you're just kind of constantly when you get new stuff, kind of say, okay, well, what's not as important for me to try to flip or whatever. So so that's what I tried to do a little bit. I do kind of have a backlog right now of some figures that I need to put up for sale, because I've been kind of just lazy about not throwing them up on the Facebook groups. But so yeah, I mean, and I think too, like, drawn to your point too, is trying to figure out like what characters are important to you, what characters are not as important. And so then, do you need a masterpiece version of, X character and all that type of thing. And then I found, I'm kind of the opposite of you, where, I don't know, for whatever reason, the masterpiece aesthetic and especially this new cartoon one, is just not really getting me. And so, I mean, I've actually sold the majority of my masterpiece collection, and I've kept my chug. And honestly, if I would have thought, 5 years ago or whatever, I wouldn't have thought that I would have done that. I would have said, oh, well, I'm going to, I'm sure I'm going to sell do like what everyone else did and sell my chug and flip for masterpiece. But I think kind of after I had it for a while, that for me personally, that, I kind of just like the aesthetic better of chug.
Yeah, and it gets down to, what, like I said earlier, if you're focusing your collection, a good time to do a refocus or a stronger focus on your collection is when you cull. If like you've already been collecting legend scale figures and you want to focus more on that, a good way to do that is cull some of your larger figures that you care less about. You might still care about the characters. It's like, like I said, I have Tesla and Spotter up for sale, and I love them. They're great toys. But they're just not integral parts of my collection. Not pieces that I would actively pick up, or even, it's like Reflector was one of those characters. He was a background character in season 1, and it's like you notice him there, but he's kind of like a painting on the wall. You don't really look at it, you just notice it there. And to me, Reflector was one of those kind of characters. And I'm like, I don't need those characters. There wasn't episodes that were Reflector-centric. Like I have I think they're I can't remember if they're the Bad Cube Insecticons or I think they're the Bad Cube Insecticons that I have. I'm going to go ahead and keep those. I like the Insecticons. They're some of my favorite characters. They're not like top tier favorite characters, but I do like the Insecticons. And there were episodes that were Insecticon specific, so they have a little more meaning to me than, say, Reflector. Now just because they're of the character doesn't mean that I'll keep them. Perceptor was a very key character in season 2 and season 3. But do I need Perceptor? I love Perceptor as a character, but I don't need that Perceptor. I have my G1 reissue Perceptor autographed by Paul Lighting. To me, that's more than enough for me for Perceptor. Don, what are your thoughts on the Cull?
Well, see, that's when this has been brought up in the past. It boils down to this: I am the oldest. I'm the oldest collector on the cast. I've been doing this since it came out. I was there in '84 when it hit the ground running. I remember my first 4.
You remember driving to the store to get your first G1 transform?
Well, actually, no. I was at a flea market, and it was the weekend of my birthday, and my mom gave me my birthday money early, and I went and got Sludge. I wanted Grimlock, of course, but Grimlock was sold out. But I've always liked Sludge. I've always thought he's had one of the best looks of the Dinobots, so I went ahead and got Sludge, and it was Sludge, Beachcomber, Topspin, and Warpath. After that, it gets a little fuzzy. But those are the 4 that were my first 4, and I got them all on card, all at that show over the course of 2 different months. The problem is, I never really stopped. I mean, because it was new, it was exciting. I was at that age where most of my early collection was secondhand through flea markets and yard sales and stuff, because my folks did antiques and collectibles, so I went to all the sales. And then when I started driving and working money and what I call proto-Dynamics, I was buying toys I knew had resale value at flea markets and reselling them, and then buying my Transformers with that money. So, I mean, I was there when it hit. All the stuff's coming out. I'm there. I'm buying it. I'm getting all the G1. And then in the mid-'90s, I learned about Takara. BotCon was a real eye-opener for me. I learned about, okay, I've got most all the stuff they've made. No, I don't. There's the European stuff. There's the Japanese stuff. I didn't go into all the recolors from Argentina, but there's those as well. So again, I have been collecting steady for over 30 years. I'll be 49 this year. I started collecting when I was 14. I've sold very little of it.
But you do have some stuff up for sale right now, though. Yeah,
but a lot of that is just stuff that was very easy for me to like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need that anymore. I don't want this anymore. It's the easy stuff. Quick stuff. If I lose money, I don't mind. I'm getting rid of it. But I've never done what y'all have done. And I've never said, okay, it's time to pull out this. Do I want to sell my G1? And again, the problem is I didn't and haven't kept my collection organized the way it should have been. So I can pull Sunstreaker off the shelf, but do I know where his missiles are? Probably not. If I go pull a random Beast Wars character, I think I've got Manterror is one of my. I know. I know. But what I'm saying is I'm looking at it on the backside of 30 years of collecting, of not knowing where a lot of these pieces and parts are. I know I've got them. I know I haven't lost them. But where the hell they are? It's like Manterror. He has one of his 2 discs. Where's the other disc?
Underneath your sofa, where Massey put it.
Possibly. But see, that's my problem. I need to do what y'all guys have done. I need to say, I need this stuff gone. I need my life slimmed down. And I've got to do that before it begin, because I'll be pushing 50 next year. But I've put so much effort into this. I've I've wheeled and I've dealed and I've bargain hunted. And I'm not bragging, but I would like to think in a collection of comparable size, maybe not of quality, because a lot of my stuff was secondhand. But I would like to think I have less invested in this size of a collection than what other people would have in a similar size setup. Because I love the wheel and deal. I love the bargain hunt. I'll give you an example. There was a chain of stores here in the South called Zares.
I remember Zare.
Zares was a wonderful, wonderful place. I found a Sure Shot that someone had opened and taken out of the package. I asked the manager, I said, "Sir, this toy's been taken out of the package. I can't find the rest of the accessories. Could you still sell it to me because it's the only one you've got?" He said, "Okay, $5. Okay, I bought at Zares a Sure Shot for $5. 3 years later, I find a Spoil Sport and a box full of Matchbox cars at a flea market and get it for $25.
Wow.
So for $5.25, I have Sure Shot and Spoil Sport. So I pieced my collection together like that. I bought a Wheeljack at a flea market for $4. G1 Wheeljack, didn't have the fins. Came back a month later. The seller was there. He said, "Oh, you're the kid that bought that Transformer." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "I found the fins." So I have a complete Wheeljack because he has his shoulder cannons and the missiles as well.
Wow.
So,
But
I can't.
But I think though, like so you have stories about all of these figures, right? I mean, this is a huge part of your life, and it's been a huge part of your life for 30 years. I mean, you don't have to sell it. There's no one that is saying, "Oh my gosh, you have to get rid of it." I think that if it's something to where that, okay, you're ready for the next chapter of your life, and you do want to slim down and do want to do other things, but at the same time, I mean, I feel like, I'm sure you can pick up each piece of your collection and tell those types of exact stories of, "Hey, I got this here, I got this here," and that's what I think part of this collecting is that it really tells a story, and it's really part of our life. It's not just a figure; it's a big part of us, and so that's where I see too, especially that this kind of stuff. It's like I'm going to have a story to tell with this about how I did it and how I went on vacation with my family and did all that kind of stuff and found one of my grails and all that. And so, I mean, you don't if it means that much to you and it brings you that much joy, I don't think you have to necessarily cull just because you're feeling guilty, No.
Well, it's not really that. It's the fact, I mean, this is kind of a sad story. But over in RFC, we lost JD Church 5-6 years ago. JD was a great guy, just full of life. Just everyone, I never heard anyone say a bad thing about JD Church. And he passed away suddenly. And I volunteered to try to sell as much of his collection as I could for his wife, or his widow. And I've still got about 5 or 6 boxes of stuff because a lot of it is Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, which is not going to bring. I'm
not
trying
going
to
bring top value, but you got to understand, Don, those era of toys, the kids that played with those toys are getting to the age now where they will have disposable income and are looking for those toys.
I agree, but from my standpoint, it's the fact that JD did pass away suddenly, and he had this large collection, and his wife, his widow, really was not in a position to handle that much stuff.
It'd be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Well, we actually covered this in the episode, what happens to my toys when I die.
I figured that's why I brought this up, is maybe when you do like whenever you post this or whenever the video, whenever it goes up, you can put a link to that episode. I'm at the point where I have a wonderful girlfriend now. She is absolutely just the best thing I will ever find. I will not find anybody better than her. And eventually, things are going to progress. We're not there yet, but it's life. I don't want to have, and I'm going to be a dick here, this much.
You're Richard.
Right. For her to have to deal with. Or my friends, Paladin, Blade, the guys from RFC, maybe you guys, maybe Orson could take some of it. Yeah, there's always options. But I don't want to put anybody through that. And I'm not saying that I feel that way because I was taking care of the stuff for JD's widow. Far from it. I'm so glad I helped her move some stuff. But it made me realize I have too much shit. I have got to downscale this stuff. But I enjoy it so much. I enjoy the hunt. The hunt is addictive.
Yeah.
The thrill, the bargaining, the wheeling, the dealing. It's just so much fun.
It is.
And I don't want to let go of that fun.
And that's one thing for me too, is I don't feel like I need to own this stuff. Like I don't know, for whatever reason it's like a weird thing. I want to purchase it, but then once I have it, I'm okay like getting rid of it at some point in the future. And so it's what's been called the fear of missing out. You want it for your collection because you know if you don't get it, it's Schrodinger's toy. If you don't get it when you see it, like Jim's Ironhide, he got the Ironhide because he was afraid with Studio Series moving that far past the Ironhide wave, how much would he have to pay later on to get that figure? I'm sure there's a lot of that for everybody watching.
Combat
Megatron. Prime example. I'm still kicking myself over Combiner War Skylinks.
Yeah,
I saw it once.
Incidentally, talk to me after the show, Jim.
I'm accepting any donations.
So, Combat Megatron was just one of those toys for me. I think it was a fear of missing out on it. I don't know why I ordered it. I already had the mold. And I looked at it. I'm like, it's really pretty and everything. I think deep down, I had this sense of I really want Hasbro to do more of these things, so I should probably support this and encourage them to do more of it. Yeah. But will my one purchase do that? Probably not.
But I'll be honest. I'm glad I got Combat Megatron because it made me realize how much of a letdown that Megatron mold is compared to Optimus, as far as
it's a fun toy, but it's not as good as some of the other ones in the line.
Yeah, this Optimus actually blew me away about how solid of a figure this is. And when I got the Megatron, that Combat Hero Megatron, I was wanting
me away.
Yeah, so now I've got my Siege Megatron up. Yes, it's my G1 version, the G1 that came out with Prime, because I realized this mold does not entice me enough to need a second one. And if you give me a choice between a G2 version and a regular version, I'll always take a G2 version because I love G2 as long as the spirit is there. Like people have said, oh, the box concept really isn't G2. Like hell, it isn't. It's the spirit of G2 in a cardboard box. But anyway, that's my problem. Is that, and I'm guessing there's other people in the older collectors. We've put so much into this. This has been, maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it was a problem. Maybe I was just having too much fun doing it. I don't know. But I'm at the point in my life where I have to say, I have to slow down and sell this stuff. And then I go to like an online store, look at my pre-order list. But it's stuff I really want. Like I have Fans Toys, the Phoenix reissue on pre-order. Yes, we've talked about Kronos. I know all that. Whatever. But I want a good toy of Skyfire. I don't need it. I have a visual representation of Kronos that does fine for my collection for a visual representation, but it's not a good toy. I want a good toy that I can enjoy. But it's just, I can't stop. And it's the realizing, Lucas, I'll shut up here in a minute. I'm sorry. Realizing that there's an issue is the important step. But if you can't galvanize yourself to actually say, That's it. No more. I'm picking the top 100 figures and everything else goes.
I've had to do that before.
I know. I can't make myself do that. I wish someone would come in and say, "Hey, Don, I saw you on TFYLP. Here's $100,000 for everything you own, except Massey." I would say, take it. Take it, box it up. I will be left with 4 bare walls and a carpet that really needs cleaning, and I will buy. Because, see, that's the problem. I was there when all this stuff hit. It's new. It's exciting. It's stuff that is awesome and fun. If I was younger like Jim or XV, you know, if I was looking at all this history from the backside, I would be more selective. I would not buy a 10th of the Energon that I bought. Oh God, why did I buy Energon? I would have bought a 10th of the Cybertron. I probably would have bought very little Armada. Because looking back on it, I can look at it with a more critical eye. I would have reviews before I bought it that would say, this is Armada Hotshot. This is why you don't need this POS. And then I wouldn't have bought it. But I was there when it hit. It was new. It was the next thing. I wanted it because it was exciting and something different. So now I have all these boxes of stuff that I have good memories, except for Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. But I can't let go of some of the stuff. And if I do, I'm going to lose my ass.
Well, I think you've got the core of something right there in that there's a lot. Collecting is a lot of work. Let's be blunt here. If you are a collector of Transformers or anything for that matter, but for the sake of what we're talking about right now, if you collect Transformers, it is a labor of love. It's something that you do. You know, there are people out there, they've only got like a handful of items and they're perfectly happy with that. But for the vast majority of us, you know, there are, you know, entire waves and lines. You know, we go to the stores each and every day to see if they got the latest, hottest stuff out. You know, I mean, we go and, you know, do they have that Siege Wave 3 yet? You know, I'm looking for it. You know, do they have that next wave? We're going to the online stores and seeing if that next new pre-order is up. You know, we put a lot of work into the collection, and most of what we buy, you know, there are some things that we buy that is, I guess, we buy it just to buy something, but you know, a lot of us we collect something because we're trying to complete something. You know, it's like I'm trying to complete the third-party Superion. You know, I'm trying to complete you know, like a diorama of Legends with my Titan class figures. You know, there's a certain goal that I'm working for. But then you get to a point where you need to cut down on what you're buying, and you need to clean out space. And when it comes to sale, what you said, Don, you've put so much work and so much labor into this labor of love that you find it difficult. You know, it's like, I fought so hard to get these things. You know, I drove. I mean, I don't even. Let's put it in perspective. I'll give you 2 examples. First example is, you know, a story that I've told many times on here. I drove over 100 miles after midnight one time to pick up Armada Unicron whenever it came out. I had been, you know, it was the first true Unicron figure that we had ever gotten, and I had to have it. So I drove over 100 miles in one night after midnight on a work night to get that toy. I no longer sold it. I sold it. I no longer have it. You know, so I had to get to the point where, you know, I drove a long way to get this toy. I waited for this toy so long. What made me sell it? Again, you know, you said, Don, you've been here since the very beginning. You've been collecting since the very beginning, 1984. And I'm right there with you. Can you imagine in 2000, in mid 2006, whenever I boxed up, I picked out 100 of my absolute favorite Transformer toys that I had right then, and I kept them. And everything else I took pictures of and sent a detailed list to BBTS whenever they still bought collections. And I sold all of those toys. I had well over 2,000 figures. And I was living the bin life, because I lived in an efficiency apartment, and the living room, literally, I want to say 15 bins stacked from floor to ceiling, full of toys, most of them sealed. And whenever I had to box those toys up to send to BBTS, a lot of those toys were my childhood toys. Sitting there, and I picked up my G1 Sandstorm that I bought with the prize money from winning this Collier County, Florida 6th grade spelling bee championship in 1987. I sat there.
17. I was 17.
Yeah. But I the 6th grade spelling bee championship, I won it, and the prize money that I got, I bought a G1 Sandstorm. Went right straight to the toy store after the spelling bee, and I bought that toy. No questions asked. Parents were like, "This is what you want. This is what you're getting." That was with my prize money, and I sat there and held that toy and looked at that, and all those memories came flooding back, and I'm crying like a little baby. It's like, I sold this toy. I already had the money in hand. It was gone. It wasn't mine. It was so hard. And a lot of people's like, why would you want to do that? Because at that time, that was a necessity sell. I needed to sell that stuff in order to get back on track with my life. Right now, I'm not needing to sell this stuff. It's not like I need the money. It's I need the space. It's a whole different reason. I'm not going to go and pick out, like one of my few original toys that I have from my original collection from when I was a child. Those will never be sold. I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I can get a good chunk of money for this sandstorm, or for this weird wolf. I'm not going to sell it again. It gets really hard whenever you have emotion and memories tied to certain toys. It really does. You guys thoughts?
So I wanted to kind of add a point. I actually kind of think, depending on the sale, I think you can have actual memories of selling figures as well. So I've sold a lot, like in the Facebook groups, and then I've also sold at conventions, like I've had booths at TF Expo. And the thing that I think is really neat is to be able to make someone else, be really excited about getting a figure, because, there's always a side, and Don, I'm sure you have, a zillion figures that are probably, oh yeah, whatever, it's just this or it's just that. But to some other person, that is their grail. And I've had that experience where I sold something in the Facebook group, like when I sold off my masterpiece, and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that you had this figure or whatever. I've been looking for this figure for 6 months and I haven't been able to find it for, a decent price or whatever it might be. And just to be able to, kind of pass that along and give memories to another collector, I think that that's actually cool. And so sometimes to me is that, like you're mentioning your Armada, your Energon and all that there, I guarantee you that there's some 30-year-old out there that would probably be super excited to actually get, some of those figures that you're just like, whatever. Because we actually have some in our local Transformers group that we have a couple younger guys that are big into Unicron trilogy, and that's their thing. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you have an Armada Optimus Prime. I've been looking for that, kind of thing.
Oh my God, Energon Bulkhead.
Exactly. Well, see, the thing is that, and this is part of my thought process whenever I decide to cull. And I think you hit a good point there too, Lucas, is that one of the questions I ask myself is, have I gotten my enjoyment out of this toy? Am I enjoying this toy anymore? And if I look at a certain toy in my collection and I'm like, I'm not enjoying that toy anymore. I don't remember the last time I picked that toy up and messed with it. I don't remember the last time I stood because, I got my stuff on display, and there's times that I come in here and I'll sit down in my chair and I'll look at my toys. I'll stand up, I'll look at individual shelves, and I'll enjoy those toys. And if I feel froggy, I'll open it up and get one out and mess with it. But if I'm enjoying it, even by just standing and looking at it, I'm still getting enjoyment out of that toy. But if I get to the point where I'm like, I don't get the same enjoyment I once had. But if it's a good toy, and my Fans Toys Tesla is a good example. I've gotten my enjoyment out of it. I know there's somebody out there that it would absolutely make their day to get that toy because they missed out on it whenever it came out. A lot of these third-party items are a flash in the pan. Once they're out, you either get them now or pay 3 prices later. Or if they, you might look out and they'll tank. The prices will tank. TFC Hercules, and you can get them for super cheap. But you don't know what toys are going to do that. You can't just sit there and bank on, well, this toy is going to be cheap in 5 years. You don't know. It may be super, super expensive. If you get, and Don, you said, and I'm not sitting here trying to talk you out of selling toys, but I'm trying to help you in a roundabout way, help the listeners and viewers that are that may be thinking of Cull. Let's say, for example, you talk about Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. You don't care about it. It's not your cup of tea.
No, well, most of the figures I wish I hadn't bought. There are like Energon, like Cybertron, Megatron Leader Class, the black and gray one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's such a gorgeous figure. I mean, they're Energon Galvatron. Gorgeous figure. Armada Super Mode Optimus,
not so much.
Not so much.
Well, see, and that would be part of your thought process. You look through the Armada or the Unicron trilogy, as it were, and you pick out the toys that, hey, I really, really enjoy this color. This Energon Megatron is a beautiful toy. I still get my enjoyment out of that toy. So keep that toy. But, let's say you have a Hot Shot. You don't give 2 damns about Hot Shot. Why not sell it? If you can get something for it, even if you're not getting the original retail and you're losing money on it, at least you're getting something out of it that you can, and do like what I'm doing. If I sell these toys, I intend to put that money right back into the collection in a different way. And get something else that you would enjoy more, and wait till it's, if you sell that toy again, down the road, and you can, and like we talked in the pre-show, I know Sean mentioned it, how many times has he sold and rebought? If you sell a toy that, down the road you regret, and I've got my selling regrets, if you sell a toy down the road that you regret selling, you can always go back and buy it or buy another one.
Well, it's also the fact is, I don't like losing money. Yet I know on some of the stuff I'm going to lose my ass just because.
Well, we've talked about on this show before. You don't collect Transformers if you collect for it to be an investment.
Right.
Because that's always a crapshoot, and this is not. I mean, yeah, you might have a gold mine in some of these toys, but if you bought it with that intent, it's foolish. It's really, really foolish to buy toys with the expectation that they're going to be worth a lot of money someday, which is something my mom told me years and years ago when I was a kid. These are the first of these kinds of toys. They're going to be worth something someday. Well, in a lot of ways she is right, but, she could have been very wrong too.
Look at your 90s comics books. That's where the wrong comes in.
Yeah. So I guess one thing too in the comments, I know Randall was asking about how, if we are wanting to cull, how do we do it? What are the different avenues to try to sell toys? And so I don't know. I'll go ahead and go real quick to see, what I typically do. So I typically try to sell locally to, we have a group of Transformers fans in Kansas City. So typically I try to offer it to them first because, it's much easier to distribute locally. Then what I typically do is I try to sell in the Facebook group. So there's a lot of different Transformers focused buying and selling groups. So I would suggest, joining some of those. There's definitely some ones that with thousands of people in them. Your third option would be eBay is another one. So, start an eBay account and start
let's point out that there's risks with each and every one of these. eBay, there's obvious risks, and you get similar risks on Facebook. You get people that, they try to scam you, but you just be smart about it.
Yeah. It's so it's part of the cost of doing business that you will get scammed at some point, or something's going to happen where someone on eBay is going to claim you and say that they didn't get the figure or it was broken or whatever, and it wasn't, and they'll try to claim you back. That's going to be probably 5% of your sales or something like that, potentially around there. But you want to try to protect yourself as much as possible with doing that. So make sure and read all the rules in the groups, the rules of eBay and everything. Mark
there are
everything.
Some groups that don't even allow selling.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Be as accurate as possible, like on your listings. So if your toy is in played with condition, make sure to mention that, or whatever the different condition of your figure is, but try to do some research that way. And then the other thing I would suggest too, if you're going to do a lot, buy a postage scale. It is so much easier to create an account.
Have one right over here.
USPS and weigh your own stuff. They will actually send you, if you send your stuff priority mail, they'll send you the boxes for it. And then you just have to get the packaging material and all that type of thing. But make sure when you're sending the figure out to package it well. Make sure to put plenty of bubble wrap or whatever that you're using in it, because if you're shipping a figure out to somebody else and it gets broken in the mail and you didn't put insurance, you didn't buy insurance for it, that's on you, and they're gonna try to get a refund.
Use tracking.
Yep.
Use a trackable method too.
I believe priority comes with tracking included.
It does, and it comes with $50 of insurance automatically for priority. So I personally try to use that for most of my stuff. It doesn't work for, again, if you're selling some Energon figure that's only worth a couple bucks, you're probably not going to want to send it out $10 priority. But
here's a pro tip: if you're shipping within the United States and your item weighs less than a pound, and you can find, and if it's small enough, you can ship first class mail. You can ship a small box, first class mail. It comes with tracking, and it's super cheap if you buy it online.
Yep.
It is super cheap.
You're talking about when you decide to. Everything y'all said from the shipping and selling standpoint is dead on accurate, definitely. But the hardest part is going to be what you sell. And the only thing that is what I have on eBay now, that's stuff that I know if it's gone, it won't probably cross my mind ever again. But you're going to have to look at your collection in, let's say I was looking at my Visionary stuff, which is not going, obviously, because it's Visionaries. But let's say I just want to keep the figures. I know that for sure. The vehicles, They take up a bunch of space. I really don't care about those. Stuff that you don't have to do a lot of soul searching, and the fact that, yes, this can go or that can go. I look at my Transformers. All the Action Masters, they can go, except for Optimus Prime and Megatron. I look at my Micromasters. Most all the Micromasters can go, except for a couple of those. Minicons, all the Minicons, stuff that that you don't have to do, like, okay, I remember this. He's like, okay, I'm tired of these. I don't want them. They can go. I'm sorry, Jim. Am I boring?
No, that's not it. I haven't slept well in a few days.
I'm sorry. Trust me. I'm still adjusting my CPAP. I'm waking up in the morning and I've taken it off at night and don't remember it. That's probably not a good sign.
Well, I've got an interesting situation myself. As of basically this past week, my wife and I are now licensed foster parents.
Congratulations!
And late Wednesday night, we just got our first foster child, 3-month-old baby boy.
Wow!
So needless to say, I've not slept well in a few days.
Yes,
it's an adventure and it is fun.
Good.
So that's kind of what I've been doing. If you guys haven't really seen me, on the podcast or anything.
Well, yeah, it's kind of important. It's kind of important.
Yeah, we've been preparing for that.
But anyway, that's what stuff that that you won't have a lot of regret over selling. Stuff that it's like, I like it, but I don't need it anymore. And start off doing that.
Our own Michael Swift, he posted in the, I believe it was it a public or private group? You guys probably saw it. That he sold off a good portion of his collection. He still got a lot of stuff, but he sold off a good portion of his collection. He said, he was surprised how much of it he really doesn't miss. It's like you think you're going to miss it until it's gone, and then you're like, wait, I don't miss it as much as I did or thought I would. And I've found that a lot of the stuff that I have sold, I mean, like I said earlier, yes, I have had seller's regret and went back and bought things again. But for the most part, there are things that I've sold. I'm like, you know what? I enjoyed it when I had it. I don't need it again. I just don't.
One suggestion I would have is if you're on the fence and you're not sure about selling or not, box it up, throw it in a tub somewhere for like a month or two and see if you regret it. And, if it sits in a tub for a couple months and you're like, okay, definitely, I didn't regret that one, I can go ahead and sell it. But I would agree with you that I think there's a lot of stuff that I was worried about that. And once I sold it, I realized that, yeah, I didn't really care about it as much as I thought that I would.
Another good telltale sign of whether or not you care about the toy and want to mess with it that much, how much dust is on the particular toy whenever you go to look at it.
I think that's a whole different episode right there in and of itself.
It's like if it's extremely dusty, which means it has not been held for a very, very long time or messed with for a very, very long time, you probably don't need that toy because you're not enjoying it. Obviously,
or you just haven't dusted in your house in a very, very long time.
Even if you're just looking at the toys, if you just put them on a shelf or in a display to look at from time to time, and it's got an inch of dust on it, that so much so that there's so much dust on it you can't make out the face on the figure. I mean, if you don't care enough to dust it often enough to at least, everybody's going to have a little bit of dust. I mean, that's something. But if it's so freaking dusty that it's like a different color on the top, then it raises a question. Do you really care that much about it? Do you own it just to own it?
If it's like Ultra Magnus from Dark of the Moon, then it's time to get rid of it.
I don't get that reference, but I mean, yeah.
And the inside the Ark, they're on the moon. The Autobot face that was covered in dust.
Okay.
When the astronauts were up there, that was implied to be
I'm
Ultra
a little
Magnus.
thick. You had to explain that one to me. But
sorry. Yeah, that was supposed to be Magnus.
Okay.
Just the dust kind of fell away, and like, oh hey, there's a robot face there.
Well, we're about at the end here. Do you guys have any closing thoughts? Any comments on this?
My take on it is, and I know we've discussed various points of this before in other episodes in the past that you've mentioned, but I think one of the key things is that there's kind of a yin yang two-sided thing to this, and that is that is sentimentality along with guilt. Because there's sentimentality for certain characters or certain memories that are connected with when you got those toys or when you first saw that character. Like I've mentioned in past episodes, like Horrid Bull, for instance. I was like 5 years old and my family had a house fire. My great grandmother, who I love to death, she bought me Horrid Bull not long after that house fire when we went to live with her, and that invokes memories of her. But at the same time, there's also guilt of building up a collection to the point where, like where it starts affecting you financially, or you start running out of space, or whatever the reason may be. So it's kind of a two-sided coin there, and so I think that's a large factor in the decision of whether or not to cull a collection. Some folks, they there's a friend of mine who I don't know, Daron, if you remember him, Deadeye, Eric Johnson. He helped set up Slagacon a couple of years. He focuses his collection solely on his few favorite characters. He does, like, he'll do Jetfire, he'll do Blaster, he'll do Jazz, and he'll do Brawl, and not very many characters outside of that. Maybe I think like an Ultra Magnus or something, but he limits it to specifically iterations of those characters. But at the same time, you've also got other collectors. They have to collect an entire line. You have to have the complete Machine Wars collection. You have to have the complete, Titan's Return, collection.
Give you an idea how long it's been since I had the entirety of a particular series. Cybertron was the last time I had the entirety of a series.
That was just before the first movie. It was 0506. It's a good line. Mm-hmm. Got Primus. But like in my situation, I've sold off the bulk of my collection a few times now over the years due to various reasons, mostly financial, car repairs, what have you, life. But in my current situation, I've got it where the bulk of my collection right now, I've got Combiner Wars, Titan's Return, and Power of the Primes. And that's predominantly the largest portion of my collection. Top of my entertainment center, I've got various G1 toys that I had myself and my brother had growing up, like Power Master Prime and Rad with Lionizer, Horrible, Rough Stuff, things like that. But it's to the point now where, now that the Prime Wars trilogy is over, I have maybe a handful of figures left that I still would like to get. But at the same time, I'm also just about to the point where I'm starting to reflect on, do I really need all three of the Decepticon Target Masters? Do I really need, Skullcruncher, Weird Wolf, and Mindwipe?
Which ironically are three that I absolutely must keep out of those lines.
Sure.
For obvious reasons.
It's like, well, combiners are easy because, if you want to save space, just combine them together, into the larger form, and they take up less shelf space that way. But then you get into things like you've got the larger, like you've got Combiner Wars Prime, and then you've got Power Master Prime, and then you've got Power of the Prime's Leader Class Prime. And you've got all the Titan Masters with the little accessories, and it's like I want those characters, but how many of those same characters, how many iterations of them do I want? And there's just so many internal questions that you're asking yourself, so many options you're weighing, and it is a very intensely personal decision, and it's not always the easiest thing.
And there's I forgot to mention there's one other disqualifier for me for if I'm culling figures, and if I look through and something that's disqualified unless it's an absolute necessity. Now I've sold figures that have fallen into this category because it was a necessity I needed to sell. But in an instance like right now, I'm selling to clear space. I asked myself, was this a gift? If it was a gift from anyone, then I'm not going to sell it. Unless I'm getting, if I'm to the point where, like I was a couple years ago, where I got ill and I was out of work for almost 2 months, and the money that I had built up was running really, really low, and I needed to put food on my table and keep gas in my vehicle so I could get to work. Whenever I returned to work, I needed to sell toys. And it got to the point where I was starting to cut in, and I sold a few that had been gifted to me. I didn't want to, but it was a necessity. Something like this, for example, you gave me Siege Megatron as part of the Secret Santa last year. This is a gift. I could not sell this toy. And that's me. Some people don't have a problem doing that. I do. To me, I find that a little bit, I don't want to. And then, of course, there's Untouchable.
That goes right along with that sentimentality.
Mm-hmm. There's untouchable toys to me. I have toys that, for example, I have some of Chad's toys. He gave me Masterpiece, the Walmart Masterpiece Skywarp, and there's a couple other things that I have. I even have Chad's Vector Zeta that he had. I can never sell those. I can never sell those, ever. Right. I mean, what those mean to me, I can never sell those. Frank Stallman, he asks, what about Masterpiece? I think this applies to not just Masterpiece, but every Transformer line, really.
Every line.
To me.
Yeah,
I mean,
even outside Transformers.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's Marvel Legends or Hot Wheels, I mean, if it's something of significance to you, then you don't need to sell it. But if it's something that you think that you can live without, or you think that has outlived its usefulness to you, then sell it. You probably won't miss it. Really. That's why I'm saying to Dawn, it's like, if there's certain Armada, or, I keep wanting to call it Armada Trilogy, Unicron Trilogy toys that you really don't think you'd miss, sell them. Yeah. Even if it's at a loss.
Yeah. And don't let me sounding, I'm not trying to come across as like, if I don't do this, everything goes to hell in a handbasket. It's not, because
no, it's going there anyway.
But thanks. But I don't want to box everything up. Whenever the next stage of my life happens, I don't want to box everything up, throw it in a storage building, and then box by box by box by box have to deal with it. But I might have to. I don't know. But the only thing I can say is do it when you feel the time is right, and don't let anybody pressure you into, because I'm not being pressured. I'm just looking at it with what
I'm not, my instance here, I'm not being pressured either.
Yeah, it's just I've had it. I'm a grown ass man. I'll be 49 this year. I'll be 50 next year. It's time for the stuff to go, and it's very hard for me to let it go. And I'm looking at some pre-orders I've got now. I'm thinking about dropping my pre-order for the Perfect Effect Jet Power Prime, but it looks so nice with the trailer. Everything's integrated. It's just.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think there's another thing.
I was just going to say, I think it's important. I think it's important to set limits upon yourself, though. So that it's not something that impacts the rest of your family and all that. So, or your own financial situation or whatever it may be. So, I mean, I think if if culling the collection helps you with that, so that it, you know, kind of helps you set a budget, you know, because a lot of times, I mean, that's what I do is I like to sell stuff, and then I, you know, put that in my bank account, and then, you know, I have that to buy new figures.
Yeah. If you're forcing yourself to eat instant ramen so you can afford toys,
that's a whole other topic we've talked about before.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's not what we're saying here, but that's not good. I'm a little fuzzy on the whole good bad thing, Ray. Well, that's not good. So there's that.
You know, there's one other thing. I don't know that we've necessarily really touched on it. You know, mostly, you know, we've discussed, you know, lack of space or financial difficulties and what have you. But another thing to consider too, I don't know if you guys have really thought about it, is if you decided maybe it is just time to move on, whatever your reason, whatever your motivation, there's also the option to find maybe someone close to you, maybe niece, nephew, maybe a good friend, I don't know, but someone that you know
if monetary
loves
value
it.
is not important.
Right, not even factoring in monetary value at all. Someone that you know loves the brand, loves the characters, and loves the franchise as much, if not more, than you do. Someone to pass it down to that you know is going to take care of those items. And I think Duran, I think you kind of touched on it a bit when you mentioned how you had gotten some things from Chad Williams, and it got me thinking. You know, just now when I was young, when I was about 9 years old, my older brother Walt, he on his 16th birthday, he decided to pass down to me all of his toys, not all of his Transformers, all of his toys. Every toy he owned became mine on his 16th birthday. He decided, you know what, I'm going to start driving, I'm going to start dating girls, and, you know, just he was ready to move on. You know, he felt that's what was right for him. So on his birthday, I got most of the presents. And I think that right there was probably the catalyst that set me down the path ultimately toward becoming a collector how I am now, and why there's so much sentimentality to so many of the figures, you know, that I still have. Like you know, as a kid, I didn't own Flat Top. I didn't own, you know, Pincer or Bludgeon. Those were his, you know, and I have those characters, I have those figures because they were once ones that belonged to my older brother. You know, so I mean, if that comes a point in your life where, you know, you decide that, you know, it's time for you to move on for whatever reason, or you just want to, you know, lessen the amount that you have, even not get out altogether, you know, don't be afraid to find someone that you know is going to care for those the same way that you did for so long.
Basically, what? Yeah, basically.
Go ahead, Don.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to comment on something awesome that was said by one of the viewers. Frank Stallman said, "That's exactly why I collect, to pass to my children, and that I feel that the MP collection represents the characters closest to my heart and memory." So, you know, he wants the best version of those characters to pass on to his children for them to enjoy. I think that's really awesome. That's really awesome.
If they want to, not to pass down to become a burden unintentionally.
Yeah.
Got to keep
basically be Andy from Toy Story 3.
Not the one from Toy Story 4 with the better CG.
No. No,
Jim.
Come on, I know you guys have seen the trailer.
You're totally ruining my point,
Sean.
Just
I see you're back.
Is Sean back? I'm back.
So we're trying to wrap here, and we're trying to our closing thoughts.
Oh,
No,
okay.
not that kind of rap.
I'll rap with you guys.
Do you have any thoughts as to? I know you haven't listened to you know, a lot of what we're saying here, but is there any particular thought process you go through whenever you go to cull your collection down? You know, why? What is your main motivation? What is your thought process?
My main motivation is, do I need the money more than I need the plastic? And if the answer is yes, then it's an easy sell for me. And I know that later on I can buy them again, sometimes usually at a higher price, sometimes cheaper. But if the need, if the need outweighs the want, then that's what I do. And the first time I did it, it was for a car project. Second time I did it is because first time was because I lost my job. Second time was for the car project. Third time was I was changing direction in my collection. And this fourth time was going to be because I was moving, but I'm going to wait. It's not a total necessity yet, and I think I'll just wait until it's a necessity. So, I think there's going to be space in the moving truck, and if not, then it'll have to happen. But
you can just be like Rick and have what do you have, like 4 moving trucks? He said.
No, I'm going to do one moving truck, 126-foot U-Haul,
and maybe a passenger seat or 2.
Yeah.
Which Titan class Fort Max and Metroplex will probably take up.
I wish I had Metroplex, but I don't. Yeah. He got sold in my first Culling.
Lucas, were you able to give your closing thought? I forget. We've had long closing thoughts tonight.
I'm trying to think if I've covered. So I mean, the other thing too is I would just say, if you're thinking about culling and all that type of thing too, I mean, don't reach out to the various Transformers groups. I mean, post something on TFYLP on the Facebook group or whatever, and I think that a lot of us are going through this ourselves. And so we're always thinking about it too. So we can kind of help you out with the thought process or with what to do and all that type of thing too. And, we're all there and doing it for the first time. And then some of us like Sean or I are doing it for like the 4th time. Culling is part of collecting, I think.
It's part of it. The ebb and flow of collecting, as it were.
Yep.
Well, I think that'll wrap us up for this episode of TFYLP. I want to point out, like I said at the top of the show, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/TFYLP, where you can enjoy extra added content such as TFYLP After Hours, dropped at least a couple times each month. That is just for you, our Patreon subscribers. And Lucas, what else do we have to offer from TFYLP?
And we also, on Tuesday nights, we have the Microcasters at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, where we do a shorter show, about 30 to 45 minutes, covering a live review of a figure. So I'm not sure what we're doing this week, but check it out and, come in and give us your thoughts on a figure or questions or whatnot if you're thinking about purchasing it yourself.
Absolutely. And as always, you can check out TFYLP weekly on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Now, coming up, there will be a few times, or at least once a month, we will have an earlier show that will be hosted by Lucas, and that'll be the days that I'll actually be taking off from the podcast, so I can actually have some time to myself. Check us out, and any scheduling updates and everything, you can always follow us at TFYLP on Twitter. Even if you don't have Twitter, just check out our TFYLP Twitter feed, or go to tftalk.net. There is a running Twitter feed up there as well. Everything that's shared on Twitter is over on the side of the screen there. So if you need any updates on scheduling, that is the very first place I post it. If we're running late, if there's technical difficulties, if there's extra content, I'm going to mention it on our Twitter account at TFYLP. And as always, check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/TFTalk. That is our official TFTalk.net Facebook page. And if you're watching us on Facebook, that's where we're coming from right now. So Be sure to like and subscribe to us wherever you watch or listen to us. It helps us grow. Thank you all for joining us this week on TFYLP. I'm Duran with Lucas, Jim, Headmaster Don, Sean McGinnis, and Get Right Robot, who's driving a car right now.
Hey, I am Sean McDennis, the Voyager undersized KO from Waking.
We'll see you next time.
Fit that on a business card.
We'll see you next time on TFYLP, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Take care, y'all.
Brett's done.
Guys.